and for being here on time. I think that is a plus. And I just want to say this also, want to announce to us that we have our guest speaker this morning with us. Lion Outreach International is a charity in the UK and in the United States of America. And also, Global Skills Hub is a training company in the United Kingdom. So we are partnering to bring this training to Nigeria at this time. We are the organizer of the yearly Africa Education Summit, Africa Health Summit, and the rest. Lion Outreach International is presently in Africa, so many African countries, having, I know Jerry will talk more about it, but I am privileged to have worked with Jerry for about 17 years. We have worked together for about 17 years. So, and I will come forward later to tell you more about how it all started, about what we have done together so far. So please, I want to prepare your mind. This is crucial and very, very important. Let's be ready to get the best out of Jerry today. Jerry is the Executive Director of Lion Outreach International United States. He's here with us today, and he will be conducting the training.
Again, everyone. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
You're welcome again to this innovative training. Innovative. I'm sure that as we start, you get a hang of it. It's one of a kind. It's something that I can beat my chest and say that some of us, I didn't say all of us, some of us have never experienced before. My name is Dr. Marian Akron, and I will be your host at Compare for this training session. So please tell me welcome. And you're welcome too. Thank you so much. We're jumping right into it. We're going to give honor to whom honor is due. The only reason why we're here today. We would be singing our new national anthem. Can we stand while we pay honor to our dear country, Nigeria?
Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land. Though tribe and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Nigerians all and proud to serve our sovereign motherland. Our flag shall be a symbol that truth and justice reign. In peace or battle honored, and this we count as gain. To hang unto our children a banner without stain. O God of all creation, grant this our one request. Help us to build our nation where no man is oppressed. And so with peace and plenty, Nigeria may be blessed.
Yay. But my gang, we know ourselves. You're not excused. Are you good? Are you ready? Let's go. C O C O N. Some people do N U C. Again. The other way now. Now the C is going the other way. Okay? Let's go. C O C Roll it for yourselves. Roll, 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 roll. Jam it together, together, together. Give it to yourself. You say, Oshe. And then after the speakers, anybody who has spoken, and I come out here and say, roll it. You roll. You're warming your hands. Roll it, roll it, roll it, roll it. Jam it together, together, together. Give it to yourself. Oshe. Thank yourself for being here. Now put your hands together as we make welcome Dr. Jerry Freeman. Please keep clapping till he gets here. He is the founder of Lion Outreach and our lead facilitator for today's training. Put your hands together for Dr. Jerry all the way from the United States of America. Welcome, sir.
Good morning. Before I begin, there are some other people here who are far more important than I am. And Honey, Alawale, where is Honey? Honey, would you please come up? And you need to know that the reason that I am here in Nigeria is because of this man who I met many, many years ago. And he has done events all over Africa. And so often we have talked about coming back and doing an event like this in Nigeria because it is his passion to, first of all, come to Nigeria. But this is the first time in many years that we've done something like this, and the first time we've done an executive leadership introduction here to Nigeria. And it's only possible because of my son, Honey. So thank you so much for doing this. And because there are a couple of people here that you have invited who were also strategic in bringing the folks here, and you have been in contact with all of them. So before I say anything, I would like to, through you, acknowledge their work in bringing everyone here.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I know we're still going to do some proper introduction later, but I want to acknowledge some few people that I know have been working with us, and they have been strategic leaders who have contributed to make this happen today. Do we have Mr. Heniola in the house? Please come forward. Yes. You just want to say.
Good morning, everyone. I started introduced by the coordinator. My name is Ajala Eniola. I'm the chairman of World Changers Team International. And on behalf of myself, our team, and a great leader in the house, I want to say a very big thanks to Dr. Jerry Freeman for putting this together, for coming to Nigeria, for us to have these opportunities. Thank you so much, sir. We appreciate it. This kind of training, we all need it. No matter who you are, whether you're a businessman or a government parastatus, we all need this kind of training. A wise man once says that the day you stop learning, the day you start dying. And I used to tell people that the new money now is knowledge. The new money now is knowledge. I was in a program some time ago. Someone asked a question. He said, at this critical period, what can one invest his money on? And I responded, I said, number one, invest in yourselves and in your personal development. Because if you are not informed, you'll be deformed. If you are not inspired, you will expire. If you are not in the nose, you can't be in the flows. Even if you are not updated, you'll be outdated. And what you know determines how far you go in life. And those who know rules over those who don't know. So once again, I welcome you on board. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And can I take one more comment from Engineer Rio?
Good morning, all. It's a privilege to be here today, and I want to appreciate God for this privilege. I want to thank our host leader. He's in Nigeria, based in UK. Since I met him, he's a man of integrity, and I love working with him because God has chosen him to always be relevant in the world of training, empowerment in Nigeria, in Africa, and world at large. When you mentioned that Dr. Jerry will be coming, I was so excited. He linking up to our great man US, Maxwell, and when I heard that name, I told some of my friends you had to be here. I keep telling each and every one of us that as a leader, we need to be updated. We need to grow. If we don't grow, then we keep our followers in a cooler. They cannot get anywhere. I want to appreciate everyone who being able to make it and encourage us to pay full attention. Some are always not happy with me because when I come to training like this, I don't receive call. If you miss your way, it may be good luck to you. So I want to encourage us, let's be focused and let's pay full attention, and I know today shall be great. We welcome you to Nigeria for the first time, and we believe that you will get back safely. Thank you for coming. God bless you. God bless everyone.
Dr. Jerry is, like I said at the beginning, is not just a trainer, he's also a father. He's a father who have impacted many lives. We have projects in about 32 countries at present. And you must know it's not a joke. It's not a joke. And it's not just having projects, it's about touching lives, about the lives that have been touched in all these countries. So I don't want to eat into our time further, talking about what we have done, what we have not done. Let's join me once again, put your hands together, and let's welcome Dr. Jerry Freeman.
Thank you, honey. First of all, my name is Jerry, and I am a servant of Jesus Christ. That's my identity. I am also a husband of one wife, father of 6 children, 4 girls, 2 boys, grandfather of 9. So, and you're all thinking, oh, how old is this man? I am an American by birth, but for the last decades, I feel called to serve leaders in obscure places all over this amazing globe. And the privilege of coming 17 years ago was actually my first trip to Nigeria to be part of a conference. And it was there that I met a young man who was behind the keyboard leading music. And during the breaks, I got to know him a little bit and his passions, both for music and for many other things. And never did the two of us realize that 17 years later we would be together, because that young man was Hani Alawale, who I call my adopted son. And I feel so honored to be able to come at his invitation and to be a part of this event. And I could talk for a long time just to tell stories, but I want to make a couple of comments before we get into the leadership. First of all, it says Executive Leadership Training and Awards. At the end of the day, there are a few awards that have been designed to encourage some who have done outstanding things in leadership. In this season of my life, after more than 4 decades of serving in business, serving in ministry, serving NGOs, working in television and radio and theater and multiple leadership roles in business and community. In this season of my life, I am called to train and equip and encourage leaders in obscurity around the world, and it is the greatest privilege of my life. So this beret is a symbol of the one who was most instrumental in motivating me many years ago to think about training and equipping others. Very few people would know his name, but he is behind some of the greatest military leaders in the American Air Force, and he was their trainer. And he always wore the beret. He is now with God, but he was an inspiration to me, and so though my life is different and my training is different, this is a reminder to me only, and hopefully to you, that what we are about is growing and training one another in becoming more faithful stewards of what we have been entrusted, particularly those of us who are in leadership roles. But you see, training is not just giving some information, which is about all we will be able to do today. And so if you have the notepads with you, don't try to get down every word, but try to highlight those words that stick out, that impact you, or those phrases which say, here's something I need to do more thinking about, or here is an area that I need to grow. Don't try to write down every word. It's going to come on the screen very quickly. But because we're compressing highlights of 3 days of training into 1 day, we wanted to give you today a taste of what may be coming. That is, if you commit, each one of you as leaders, to grow and to learn and to keep growing and to keep learning, we hope to come back and engage with you more, not only here in Lagos, but throughout Nigeria, to do 3 and 4 and 5 day training. And eventually, many of you will be able to carry this training not only in your own life, but into your organizations and businesses and communities. So today is simply a taste of training, and I hope, and it is my prayer, that somehow you will discover something fresh today. After these many years of living and serving and leading, it's like it says in the Bible, the greatest, wisest man wrote, there is nothing new under the sun. So most of what you will hear today, perhaps you have heard bits and pieces of, but in the way in which it is presented, maybe it will come across afresh, and it will open eyes or hearts and perhaps challenge you to think about you. And so that's where I want to begin this morning. And we've called this Leading with Impact. And as I've said, my name is Jerry Vreeman, and I am the Executive Director of the Lion Outreach, which stands for the Leadership in Obscurity Network. And now, Lion Outreach is just an NGO, but our commitment is to work with people all over the world. Hani mentioned 32 countries, that's in Africa. We are also in Asia, in India, in Nepal, in other Asian countries, and in the Caribbean. And it's not because we have projects, and I'm not wanting to critique what my son said. They become projects, but we have people, teams, in each one of those countries who have committed to take the principles that they have been learning and apply them either in projects or in developing NGOs. I believe we now have 7 registered NGOs related to Lion in Africa, and there are more coming. but it is about people. Our mission is to network individuals and organizations on behalf of leaders in obscurity. I'll say that one more time. Each one of you represent, you're an individual, but each one of you perhaps represent an organization or a business. And so our role is to network, that is, to connect in some way both individuals and organizations so that we can come alongside of leaders all over the world, especially leaders in obscure places who never get an opportunity like we have today of coming together, of getting some hopefully world-class kinds of leadership. And it's only world-class because I have had the privilege over these many decades of working with some of the greatest leaders in the world, from presidents to trainers. And my engineer friend mentioned John Maxwell, who is a friend and mentor, he's the most prolific leadership writer, and I will refer to some of the phrases that John has taught me as well, because I too am a product of those who have led and who have mentored me. But I'm grateful that in this season of my life, and I'm trusting that this season in your life, because you are much younger than I am, that you can also become enthusiastic about how your leadership can begin to impact networking other leaders throughout Nigeria or throughout your community to begin to make a difference. So the first thing I want to ask is, who are you? And you could spend the rest of the day talking about that, but I'm going to just give you 1 minute to find out. You ask that question of someone sitting next to you, and because we're not going to take time, but normally if we have a small training, it would be like maybe 20 or 30 of us, and we take time to describe who we are and what we do and what our calling is and all that. But will you take just a moment? I'm going to give you 1 minute. That means 15 seconds to find out about who the person is next to you on this side, and you tell them, and then 15 seconds on the other. So 1 minute, and you must learn at least who the two people are sitting next to you, and if you already know them, then turn around and find someone new. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, go. Find them. 30 more seconds. And I'm Jerry. All right. I actually only gave you 50 seconds. Now, on the count of 3, I want you, will you please, say the names of both people on both sides of you. First the first one name, and the other, unless you have already forgotten. 1, 2, 3, say the name. All right, okay. Now. And then the next thing we normally do is we say, I am a teacher, or I am a business person, or I am a politician, or I am a CEO, or whatever it might be, because we think that what we do is who we are, but that's not so. So it may feel a little bit different, because though you will hear some phrases, the focus today, the focus today is on us. And I'm sorry, I hit the wrong button here, so please forgive me. I have to figure out what I did wrong. And I have holy socks. So that's something about me that perhaps you didn't know before. But hopefully it makes me a little bit more like everyone else. And why did we start there? Because leadership is always about people. Leadership is always about people. And you are a people. And the people you lead or who have led you are people. And that leads to the question, okay, so what is leadership? What is leadership? Those of you who read, those of you who've perhaps even taught it, you may have some standard answers to that, and I'm going to go very quickly through this. So even though I'm asking some rhetorical questions, there will be times when I ask you to respond to me, but I'm going to get faster and faster so we can get through this material. But number one, you need to know for me, after over 7 decades of leadership, the primary education lesson of my life is that every significant human enterprise rises or falls on leadership. It's not about anything else. Every significant human endeavor rises or falls on leadership, and that's why you're here. Leadership endeavors are human endeavors. And let me start out by saying there are 3 things that leadership is not. Leadership is not a position, not power. Leadership, if you are a leader in a position, you may possess a certain type of administrative or influential power, but leadership is not power. And when we think about leadership as a position that gives us power, then as a leader, that means those tools or those positions and opportunities that we have demand leadership, but they do not define leadership. It's very important for us to think that way. And leadership is not authority. But that's the way the average person, that's the way we oftentimes think about leadership. It is position, it is power, and it is authority. It means that I am more important than you are. And because I am, I have power over you. Which means, therefore, when I say something, I have the authority to tell you what to do. And if you look at the root words of any of those, at the roots of any of those words, that's not what it's about. But that's the way leadership is often practiced. Am I right? Yes. In Nigeria? Yes. In all of Africa? Unfortunately, in so many parts of the world. And so, when you think about leadership, do not think, first of all, of yourself as a leader or others as leaders about their position, their power, or their authority. So what is leadership then? Well, my mentor, John Maxwell, would say leadership, in one word, is influence. It's influence. That's it. Leadership is influence. It means that somehow we influence, a person can influence another person. A leader, therefore, is one who influences. So that's a simple one-word way of defining leadership, which comes then in positions or comes in certain cases with a certain amount or a lack of power and a certain amount or lack of authority. But we all influence. Let's just think about that for a moment. Examples. Every parent influences a child, or a child influences a parent. Every teacher has students and influences those students. Every celebrity has fans, and fans influence the celebrity just as much as the celebrity influences them. Pastors have congregations, and vice versa. They're influencing each other. Brothers and sisters, friends, and students and teachers and voters and politicians, etc., 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 etc. And just as an example, we have a new little granddaughter in our family, and she is only 3 weeks old, and guess who influences the household and the rest of the family the most over these past 3 weeks? That little child who doesn't even understand the fact, but there is an influence there. So in a real sense, there is the potential for leadership. And we learned this as babies. How do we influence mom or dad or anyone around us to give us something to eat? We do something because we want to influence the people or the circumstances around us. And so that, again, reinforces the issue of leadership being about influence. So my question is, who do you influence as a leader? And I could also say, how do you influence them as a leader? And then we could start talking about good and bad and so on. But when we have 3 or 4 or 5 days together, we can start talking about all those evaluations. But when we intentionally set out to influence others, we are exercising leadership. So this morning when you got up and you got dressed How many of you brushed your teeth? Why did you do that? Habit? Because you wanted to influence yourself to feel better, or you wanted to make sure that no one could see that your teeth were not clean, or you put on a certain... So often what we do is also a part of exercising leadership because we're intentionally setting out to influence others. Leadership is influence. A leader is one who influences. But I also add, that's an easy way and everybody can talk about it. But here's my personal definition, and you don't have to adopt this, but it helps you understand this is the presupposition through which everything else is being presented today. So I agree that leadership is influence. In one word. But for me, it's more helpful to see that a leader now is someone who has the ability to see a better future. In other words, things aren't the way they should be. Things could be different is immediately what a leader senses, but then develops the skill to influence others to also see that potential future and work together to accomplish it. You see, for me, that is exactly what defines who I am, because there's something about the way I was wired, and now after all these decades of experience, when I walk into a place or when I am anywhere, almost everywhere I have this sense that, oh, this is great, but you know what? It could be this way. It could be this way, or maybe this could change, and I don't do that deliberately. It's just part of who I am. And as soon as I see that there is the possibility of a better future than something that's going on, the status quo, then my opportunity is to influence others that they can also see that potential, sharing that vision, that they can begin to see it with us, and we work together to accomplish it. So effective leadership is the ability to influence others to see what we see about a better future. So in other words, we're not really looking for followers, we're looking for fellow seers. Can you see what I see? If this is a telescope, can you see what I see through this? They say, no, well, come look through my telescope and see what I'm seeing. That's the role of a leader, so that there is a way of influencing others to begin to see whether it's vision or mission or opportunity or skills or how important it is to work together. To become an effective leader, we must work backwards from this truth that I've just outlined. In essence, we must develop better influence skills in order to truly lead people from where they are. Because we're not going anywhere if we're staying where we are. So leaders are the ones who help people take the first step forward, hopefully not backward, unless the backward gets them a better perspective so they can take more steps forward. That's leadership. The best investment in the future is a proper influence today. Influence, my friends, is a skill that can be developed. We're not born with it, but it's one of the first things that we exercise. The skill that a baby learns about crying in order to alert others to help is part of influence. It's one of the reasons why it is so terrible when children are left for hours and babies are left for hours and hours and days with no one responding to their cries or their whimpers, because ultimately they lose the capacity to influence others. And we are built for relationships, and those relationships must always be about mutual influence for each other. But that's another topic for the psychologists. We can increase our influence and therefore our leadership potential. That's why you're here, I'm praying. But we must start with knowing where we are now in our leadership. If we don't know where we are, where are we going? You know, one of the things I've learned from my grandchildren is that they have this Google Maps in the smartphones, you know, Google Maps, okay? And when I was young, I just couldn't wait to see a map a map, a big map that someone had written out, and I'd say, this dot here represents where we are, and then we're going to go from here. So when my grandchildren see a map on the wall, they say, but Grandpa, where are we? They look at the map and they're looking for the little red dot that's glowing that tells them where we are. So they get to know where they're going. But that is truly, we as leaders must know where we are before we can go or we can take anyone else to where we're going or to the vision that we have about it. So over the years, and this is not absolute science, but over the years, experts in leadership have identified basically 5 levels of where we are in leadership skills or where we are in our leadership roles. Now, some of you may know this or you've seen it, but I'm going to review this very quickly as the basics so that at the end of this time, you are asking yourself, where am I in terms of the levels of leadership that are standard? And this is not a perfect scientific, data-based everything, but it is, if you look at humanity in almost any culture, you look at organizations in almost any culture, language, or people, you will find and discover these 5 levels of human leadership. So again, this was from my mentor, John Maxwell, that identified them for me. And it's basically these 5 levels from the bottom up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're going to go through them very quickly. Position, permission, production, people development, and pinnacle. I use a P word for each one of them. And you'll get a chance because we'll go through each one of them. The first thing in yellow there is position. It's like the ground floor. If we looked at this, there's a pyramid of leadership. Worldwide, this is where position number 1 is where, unfortunately, the vast majority of people are in their leadership. And we call it position because it's the basic entry level of leadership. I call it the preschool level, the development level, the kindergarten level. And many of us never get out of it because we love kindergarten. We love our position. People follow you as a leader because they have to. You're the boss. You have been placed in a position, or you have placed yourself if you have built an organization, or you've built a business, or you've built a family, and you have said constantly and taught them and exercised the fact that you are the boss. I am in the position of the primary leader. But remember, real leadership is becoming and being the person that people will gladly follow. The boss simply drives his workers. A leader coaches or serves them. The boss depends on his or her authority. The leader depends on the goodwill between him or her and the people. The boss inspires fear. The leader inspires enthusiasm. Now, the thing about that position at the bottom of leadership development is that people follow you because they have to. That's why you have, quote, followers. They are in a position structurally or societally or politically where they have to follow you. The boss says, the leader, the true leader says, we. The boss knows how it's done. A good leader shows how. I'm just trying to quickly contrast the fact that if you're thinking about leadership as position, we've got a way to go. The boss in a position of leadership says, go, you go do this, you go do that. A higher leader says, let's go. It's not just you go do it, it's let's go. We are a community, we are an organization, we are leaders and followers. The boss leader is a beginner. He's a kindergartner, or she. So I'm stopping. Think about it. Your position right now, some of you I know are in multiple leadership roles. You are in multiple spheres of influence. But it's usually so important for us to say, I am, forgive me, Honey has pointed this out to me often. When I'm in Africa and when I'm particularly in Nigeria, almost every group that I get together with and people introduce themselves, they are all CEOs of something. They are all the top leader, the top position in their minds of whatever it is they are describing. And I'm sorry, that doesn't define who you are. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you are the leader. You may have that position that you have simply created or someone has put you in or voted you into, but the question is, are you a position level 1 leader within that position? Ask yourself that. And we can, if we do long-term training, we can go through some training exercises to figure out if that's where we are. But think about that right now. Pray about that. If you're already convicted that perhaps there's another level that you need to move up to as a leader. The downsides of positional leadership are this, and I'm going to quickly go through the negatives. I won't do this on every level, but this is very important because most of us think about leadership primarily from a position. I think there are 8 negatives. If you're saying, boy, wow, I think maybe, at least a lot of the people I know, maybe me, I'm often in that positional leadership. Number 1, they have positions and titles that are often misleading because they really aren't the leader that position requires and demands. Number 2, a negative for positional leadership is that they place a high value on the position and therefore they tend to devalue the people. Remember, leadership is about people, not position. You don't get positions to follow you, right? You don't follow a position, you follow a leader. And you want to get people to follow people to follow you, not positions to follow you. And too often we place a high value on the position. Number 3, positional leaders feed on politics as they focus on control instead of contribution. Think about your politicians, but also about your high-end business and community leadership organizations and people. And often a positional leader will put their rights and over responsibilities, their rights as the positional leader over the responsibilities they have to influence others by acting to make themselves look and feel important. Do we ever do that? You don't have to answer that, except in yourself. The struggle I have when I walk down the aisle after an introduction like this morning is knowing that though I'm being introduced as someone of significance and importance, I'm here to serve. I'm the servant in this room. I want to be like the waiter, just to get you to see how God is providing you the opportunity to be something much greater and much more effective than what you are. And so I humbly offer this as a way of empowering and helping you to see where you have to go. Often leaders in positional leadership, particularly in the bigger organizations, they get lonely because they misunderstand the functions and purpose of leadership. They think nobody understands all the weight and responsibility that I have. I'm in this position. And yes, I have privilege and I can do all of these things, but it's a lonely job because I'm the only one who can do it. And if that's the way you're thinking, you're still at position 1 in leadership. It means that you haven't engaged with teams. You haven't invested in and begun to serve teams that will empower you even to higher levels in your leadership. Number 6, they become branded and stranded in these positions. And leaders like that get passed by in a larger organization because there are opportunities if you're beginning to exercise leadership at a different level. And number 7, experience a high turnover. Leaders like this experience a high turnover as people quit people, not companies. I'm calling it permission. Permission, that's the second level of leadership. On this level, leaders lead by interrelationships. What that means is that when you like people and treat them as individuals who have value, you begin to develop influence on them. You develop trust. That environment becomes much more positive, and the agenda is not the position of the leader, but the relationship with the people. And getting to know them and how they relate to them is because people give you permission because they feel as if you have taken an interest in them. They give you permission to lead them. You cannot lead anyone unless they give you permission to it. Or you have a slave, correct? So how many bosses have slaves in your organizations? Well, you can get stuff done, but the people feel like they are slaves. When we focus on them, getting to know them and how to relate to them, please don't skip this next level. You can love people without leading them, but you cannot lead them without loving them. People have value. You've never met a pair of eyes that don't matter to the Creator who made them. The question is, do they matter to you? Do the people that are in your organization or the people that you are called to lead, do they know that they matter to you? And they will let you know if you matter to them by giving you permission to lead them with enthusiasm. People will follow you because they want to. And oh, my friends, what a difference it makes in leadership. When you know you can come to a job or come to the organization or show up at work and know that people want to follow where you're going. It's like night and day difference than going in and saying, all right, I'm going to watch my back because I got to boss some people around today and make sure they're doing what I want them to do. It's a way different concept of leadership. So I could go on with that, but I think you get the idea. Level 3, we're going up now. And ask yourself where you are on this ladder in whatever organization or in whatever community you're currently leading on. This is called production. Now, this is where we all want to be in one sense, because on this level things begin to happen. Goals are met, projects are completed, but this is most likely the leadership management role. But the leader brings people together in order to accomplish something. Something that the leader can't do by himself or herself, but together they're beginning to accomplish something, and it's the leader who's helping to make that happen. Motivation and success come from doing things together, and it's the leader who constantly reminds them that we're doing this together. People follow you because of what you have done or are doing, or they believe you will do for the organization, not for yourself. Not to make you richer or more powerful or more famous, which is often the way leaders in our organizations and particularly in our politics start looking or acting. But when we have an organization that's moving forward, accomplishing its mission, it's because the leader is constantly wrapping his or her arms around people and in relationships with people. It's we are going to do this. We're going places. People follow you because of what you have done for the organization at the production level. Are you there yet? There's one more level. I'm going quickly through this, and that's called people development. Now, it takes a while. This doesn't happen all at once. It doesn't happen your first day on the job. But level 4 leadership, meaning we're going up to the highest quality level of effective leadership. And leadership is what? Influence, right? A leader is one who influences. So we're moving up the ladder of how we influence who? People, not positions, not employees, not slaves. Okay, so people development. A leader is not great because of position or power, but because of their ability to empower others. Now we're going somewhere as leaders. People follow you not because of what you've done for yourself, which is often what people see first. Not because of what you've done for the organization, but because of what you've done for them. Or at least they think it's you that has done it for them, but it takes a while for them to realize what you have done is empower them to accomplish what they didn't know they could accomplish without your vision, to see it in them, that they could create a better future with your leadership and coaching and guidance. You see that difference? People follow you because of what you've done for them. Another word for that is reproduction. And this doesn't take a whole lot of science, but it does take a discipline of skills. And it kind of starts with what we started today, learning some names. Now, those of you who are in smaller organizations, this is not a problem. But if you're in larger organizations, schools, NGOs, big corporations, businesses, community development, any kind of community or public service role, how many names of people do you know? Because you don't see people as people until you truly know their name. Or you can call them up and say, hello, this is Jerry. Do you remember me? Rachel? Or Afalani? Or whatever. Learning names, know their personal and family situations. Take time to chat with them, get to know them, equipping them to lead and encouraging them where they are. In other words, it means that we need to know where the people that we are leading are in their own understanding of themselves and their role within the organization or the community. If we don't know where they are or who they are, how can we be in relationship with them? How can we truly lead them? How can we truly expect that we're going to go places together? So this is the stage where your leadership gains depth and sustainability, and it begins to extend your influence as a leader beyond what you can accomplish on your own. And isn't that the whole object? The reason we're leading is because we know we can't do everything on our own. And if we think we can, then we're not leading except anyone but ourselves, and that's okay. I have a son like that. And I'm not being negative now, but he is such an extraordinarily gifted individual. We're in business together for the last 25 years. He took a hobby of mine, which is fixing and restoring old cars, and I was pretty good at it and taught him a lot when he was a youngster, and he's gone so far beyond me with his skill set, but that he thinks since now he has surpassed Dad, he doesn't need anyone else. He needed Dad for many years, but now he's so good himself that he can do it all himself. But then he has to think and be reminded, oh yeah, but you could get to this point, but you didn't build the metal that made the car. Where did you get the seat that goes in the car? You had to order that from someone else who made it, so etc. We need to have a certain sense of humility if we're leading. Yes, we can lead the process of how people will come together to accomplish something, but it begins to extend our influence when we understand that what we're really in the business of doing as leaders is developing people. Not making more money and showing that we have more power and position and authority, but we're influencing more people. And this is the result of investing into others and helping them become better people and leaders. Now I'm talking to you as leaders. And I'm asking you as you see this, and some of you are nodding your heads and writing this down, this is going from position 1 all the way up to level 4, where are you? Are you in some of the organizations and in some of your relationships? Are you there yet? Oh, you're really high. And you're an alto. and they know you by name, and they know how to blend, and they know what your skill is, they know what your sound is, and so they're conducting us so that we can get the best sound together. It's like a conductor of an orchestra with all of those instruments. And one of the reasons we love to watch a conductor, if you've ever seen a band or an orchestra, is because they seem to know where the sounds are supposed to be coming from, because they know what the drummer is supposed to do there, and what the violins are supposed to do there, and what the trumpet is supposed to do there, because they understand the instrument as well as the person playing that instrument. That's why at the pinnacle of our leadership, we must think that way about our organizations. It takes a lot to be able to develop other leaders to reach this level, and that's what level 5 leaders do. The individuals who reach level 5 lead so well for so long that they create a legacy of leadership in the organizations that they serve. And they are cut above, and they seem to bring success wherever they go. And leadership at this high level lifts the entire organization and creates, I called it, music. It creates an environment that benefits everyone, contributing to the success of the organization. And I'm just going to leave it there for a moment, because if you can think of multiple people together making beautiful music that inspires others, and we begin to think about our leadership role in the organizations or businesses or communities that we serve, and we recognize that the only way we're going to get the beautiful music is if we understand the musicians whom we are responsible to lead, then we will have success, may I say, as pinnacle leaders. The higher you go, the longer it takes to raise up new leaders, because it takes experience and knowledge and a passion for people and an understanding. The higher the level of commitment also to valuing the people that you lead. So the higher you go, the more you must be committed to valuing the people that you lead. If you don't value people, I'm talking to you now. If you don't see people, every person you've ever met, as having something valuable to contribute to humanity or the world or your organization, you'll never get there as a leader. If people are always pawns or something to manipulate, please rethink your role as a leader. Because the higher you go valuing people, the easier it is to lead, because people will be with you. People will be there with you. The higher you go, the better performance of the people you lead. The greater the growth of the people that you lead will be, and the growth of your organization. But the more important it will be at that level to serve. Serve people, not serve ourselves. Through decades now of being a leader of multiple businesses and organizations, of watching leaders, studying leadership, teaching leadership, oh my friends, so many leaders want to be served. They think that's what leadership is. I got to this position because of who I am, even though someone put me in that place. And now it's your job to serve me and to make me rich and to make me wealthy and to make me powerful and to make me a celebrity. And wherever I go, I want people to know how important I am. I want people to serve me. I want them to carry my portfolio. I want them to go before me. I want them to let the whole world know that I am very important, when real leadership is lifting up the people we serve. And watch what happens when we lead like that. So what level leader are you right now? There are 5 levels of leadership Now I'm going from the top down as far as how we put them on paper. Level 1 is position. People follow you because you're the boss. They have to. They have no choice. We make sure about that. Yes, there are many organizations that are working that way. But people aren't very passionate about or ready to follow anywhere those kinds of leaders. Number 2, the second level of leadership is by permission. People are giving you permission to lead them. They follow you because they want to follow you. They follow you because they want to be like you, or they want to be where you are, because they feel as if they're becoming better people because they're in relationship with you. Level 3 is production. People follow because they can see results. Not only do they feel good about being with you, but they're saying, hey, when we are together, we are making things happen. And every one of us has had somewhat of an experience like that somewhere. So look back. If you're struggling right now where you are with your leadership, and if you're sensing like, hey, things aren't going quite the way they are, then go back to that moment and say, what was the magic about that time when things were really going well? Part of it was because you were in relationship with people, and together you knew you were making a difference. But level 4 then is, how do we keep developing people so that they feel needed and that they want to also pass along that same kind of leadership to others, that they're engaged in empowering others and relating to others and accomplishing things together, so that ultimately we can focus on our personhood. People follow because they become their best when they follow you. So what level leader are you? And that's where I'm going to end this little session. Think about it.